Good morning, my loves. Going to take you with me on my spirit jog. There we go. There I am. Here's my Christmas wreath, my sad little Christmas wreath. It's almost March. I probably need to get that down. So good morning. Good morning. It's time for me to do the second part of the instructional video about how to access your soul team, your spirit group. And so I thought I'd at least in part take you with me on my spirit jog this morning so you can see how that works in my world. So yeah, first thing I do, I get dressed. I'm not very stylish, but you know, let's see what I'm wearing here. There. Leggings, basically. Yeah, nothing too fancy, just warm. It's probably 50 degrees this morning. It's beautiful. It's been really cold. So yeah, so we'll step out here in the sun. And, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. So, item number one, get dressed, get outside, and yeah, don't think about it too much. That's item number one. Item number two is a prayer, and I am I have a Christian background, but I like to think I'm the Jesus kind of Christian who didn't judge and accepted all things. And I fully accept that the God source that I connect with is connected with all forms of divine religion. So for me, the prayer, all of basically my whole practice has origins in kind of in the Christian faith. But it's grown from there, and I don't feel at all like a blasphemist or whatever. People would tell me this is just how I connect with God, and I think it's pretty magical, and I want to share it with you. So the first thing I do is I say a prayer, and I set the intention to connect with God's source. And I do that by acknowledging my chakras. So it goes something like this. Thank you, God, for this beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you for all the blessings that we see, those that we don't see. Thank you that you're with us in the natural world. Help me mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically as I go out to connect with my spirit team and with you. Give me your wisdom and discernment. Let me connect my root chakra to Mother Earth, to feel the stirrings of spring. Make sure I'm keeping on camera here. My solar plexus, that I might be inspired to do. My heart chakra, that I might give and receive love. My throat chakra, that I might speak and have the words of divine wisdom. My middle eye, that I might see images that are clarifying for me and understand. And my crown chakra, that I would feel the divine connection of life and source. And then I take a big breath and I imagine all the different colors in my chakras and I stir them. I just see the colors stirring. And it opens me up. And more than anything, my prayer is a prayer of gratitude. A prayer of gratitude that I'm able to get outside, that I'm able to exercise, that I'm able to acknowledge the wonderful divine in my life, and set the intent to be open to whatever messages come through. So get dressed, get outside, say some sort of a gratitude acknowledgement, and set your attention to connect with God. And then I'm going to get on the road and I'll be back. Okay. I'm jogging to the top of this hill so I can get a good start. You can see What a beautiful world we live in, right? Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Good morning, Spirit. It's pretty neat, that light. Okay, so the first thing I do as I leave my house is I put on my playlist, which is public on my channel, so you can see what I listen to. I think I talked about before how more than likely the songs that I listen to won't resonate with you, and probably break that down a little bit more in terms of what makes a good playlist, what you're trying to achieve, why it matters. So I got my playlist going. I heard the first notes, and immediately, because I've done this for years, my brain goes to my safe place by the river, and I just sink in. My guardian angels go with me. I ask them to come with me. I have a healer on my right and a warrior on my left. However, they never say anything, so that was quite the shock to me to realize that this was not a space, or I would say a realm, a psychic realm, where any information is exchanged from angels. Let's just call them angels. So, and I see in front of me all the younger versions of myself, and I allow my imagination to fill in the details or not fill in the details. Like, I may only see the slightest bit of a face of my teenage self, or I don't know. Don't be too hard on, don't get stuck like a record is what they're showing me, on trying to make those details come into your mind's eye, or don't make it too hard. And then I am in my circle, I go counterclockwise. So I approach telepathically my 5-year-old, and I think I've described her before. She's always wearing a dress that she wore to a Christmas concert. Her hair is short because my mom got tired of brushing my curly hair and hearing me squeal. And the things that she is usually worried about have to do with my parents, their health, basic safety issues, food, shelter, water, safety. She's very typical to a child that age, and I'll ask her how she's doing, and I'll do that for you here in a minute, and we'll see what she has to say. And then I'll go on to my middle schooler, and she's usually very concerned about things with my siblings because she had a lot of responsibility for my younger siblings. And then my high schooler, who actually left home, went away to a boarding school, so she's got a whole slew of issues that she very often wants to talk about. And frankly, this whole YouTube journey, this new venture I'm doing, is a big trigger for her. She's very nervous and scared and worried about it. Then my newlywed, who is mostly reactive to things doing with my husband. My new mama, who is concerned about my 3 grown sons. As I mentioned before, I separate them into their own space and give joy and thankfulness that they are amazing young men, and I am not their mom like I used to be. I'm their mom in a different way, which is a whole process. And then I come to the current versions of me. So I've covered that kind of before, but I think it's kind of worthwhile to let you know what I'm seeing in my mind's eye. And so I'm going to go ahead and get going, and I'll tap you back on when I have something that they say to me or reveal to me that I think would be instructive for you developing your process. Okay, so I found a little spot to sit on the side of the road. because my little versions of myself, whoops, fall down, surprised me this morning. So as I mentioned, my high schooler's been really reactive to this YouTube journey that I've been on. Nervous, afraid of being judged. But as I went around the circle, it wasn't her that really lit up. It was my middle schooler who, as I said before, is really reactive about my birth family and things going on in my birth family. And this is why this practice is so amazing. I didn't even know that I was upset about this, but this little part of me is, and I was able to talk to her and address that. And I feel better. I didn't even know it was upsetting me. So let me just break it down for you a little bit. My family, without getting into too many specifics, I have a really big family. There are 5 kids. I'm the oldest. We're all pretty far flung. We're all kind of off doing our things. I have tremendous love and respect for all my siblings. They're high achievers and established and respected in their various areas, and they love me and I love them, and that's the truth, and we love our parents. That said, we've had some difficulties, relational difficulties, let's put it that way, and so we haven't all been together comfortably in quite a while, and we're all planning to go together in March and take a trip together. And my middle school version said to me, so just to get back to the lesson, talked to my kindergartner. She's a little worried about my parents, but she's fine. Get to my middle schooler, and again, this is not a 3D image that I saw. It's more of an energy imprint. Sometimes I'll see the side of a face or a shoe or something along those lines. So as I do, I said, "How are you doing?" And she said, "I'm really worried about everybody being together, that they're all going to be fighting, and that I'm not going to be able to keep them happy. Susanna, is not going to be able to keep them all happy. Of course I'm not going to be able to keep them all happy." That may have been a laudable goal when I was 13, but it's certainly not a laudable goal when I'm 52. I'm getting emotional. So I said to her, "Of course you're not going to be able to keep them happy. They are all adults now. They are able to make their own choices and decide on their own level of happiness. The only person you're responsible for is yourself." And I felt just kind of, and this always happens, I felt this kind of weight come off of me. And that was it. It was that quick and that simple and that profound and that amazing and that life-changing. Because now I know, as we're coming up on this trip in a month, I've got some anxiety about the way everyone's going to interact and get along, and most importantly, a people-pleasing aspect of wanting to keep everybody happy. That's just not going to be possible. It's just not. I mean, it's just not. They're each going to show up with whatever is on their hearts and their minds, and it'll be wonderful. But it won't be perfect, and certainly 13-year-old Susanna is not going to be running the show and keeping everybody happy. And so thank you, Spirit, for bringing that to the surface today for me to address and to acknowledge and to give love to that version of myself. Thank you. I'm going to continue on. I'm probably going to rewind my song and do it again because I got a little distracted by that. And yeah, I'll let you know if something else comes up. Wow. So I just watched that video back. And I'm feeling pretty emotional about it. Not only because of the tremendous interaction I got to have with a younger version of myself in the astral planes, but that she was able to voice some of her concerns and her fears, which I carry with me in this world. But I know what happened the rest of the day, which makes it all the more divinely guided and beautiful. So the rest of the day, I went about my day, went on into work, and I get a call from my mom, and I can tell just I'm an empath, but her voice was shaking. She was upset, and she said everything's falling apart. And of course, at first I think somebody's hurt or something, and then she goes on to tell me that one of the rentals that my parents have booked for my huge family has fallen through and they don't have it anymore. And she's feeling horrible and worried that people aren't going to come and feeling like she made a mistake. And I mean, imagine you are in the later part of your life and your adult children are all coming after a pretty difficult season for them to be together, and except one of them can't, and suddenly you don't have a place for them to stay. She was absolutely frantic, and so we kind of troubleshot through it. And because I had had that experience literally a few hours earlier, where I had talked to that version of myself and put the responsibility back where it should be spiritually on my siblings to be the masters of their own fate, in a sense, I was able to be calm. I was able to brainstorm with my mom through here's what we can do, here's what we can do. Whereas, had I not had that experience with my spirit team, I probably would have been shaken by the fact of the whole thing falling apart. Furthermore, one of my siblings called me when they found out and was absolutely distraught with some of the same issues that I surfaced with my younger version of myself that morning. Nobody's going to show up. Nobody's going to want to be all crowded together. Everybody needs their space. This isn't going to work out. I was also able to be calm and loving and meet my sibling where they were at and be a comfort and I hope love and support. And so I have chosen a tough topic to try to teach right off the bat as I launch into my YouTube channel. Of all the different astral realms that I can travel to, and I do travel to with my spirit teams, there are ones beyond the conversation with the little versions of me that start feeling increasingly more divine and more godlike, for lack of a better word, and they are meaningful too. But the check-in that I do with myself to prepare myself for my life, for my spiritual questing, is just so incredibly important. And I wanted to share that. It is probably ambitious to try to do on YouTube in a couple of videos, but it is absolutely possible. And we're going to break it down really quickly because I've already done an introductory video which lays this out. But I might ought to mention that I'm Susanna and have the Soul School, and I'm on a mission to break down the barriers that keep human people from connecting with their divine guidance, their divine love, sense of joy, purpose, life path, all of that. I want to help you break it down so that you can live your life authentically and as joyfully as possible. And we're going to just quickly go through the steps of developing your practice again. And then I'm going to tell you to go try it yourself. So the first thing I asked you to do at the end of the video was to think about a safe place. And as you saw me this morning, I go into my mind's eye to my safe place. My safe place happens to be a real place. It's a beautiful beachy place along one of our gorgeous Ozark rivers. And I'll try to find a picture to flash it up for you. But your safe place doesn't have to be a real place. It can be, as I said before, a treehouse or an imagined place in an Oxford library. But you really need to think about a place that you can imagine in your mind where you can you can imagine yourself there by yourself and you feel safe. So that was the first part of the homework I gave you last time. And you saw from going with me this morning how that is a part of the practice. At some point, I'm projecting myself into my safe place along the river and I'm seeing it and I'm greeting each of the younger versions of myself. And fundamental to having any version of yourself show up is this feeling of safety. The next thing would be populating your safe place. Where in your life have you encountered significant struggle that you still carry with you today? You don't need to answer this intellectually. In fact, I think that I did not reverse engineer this. These versions of myself showed up and they had something to say. So I would say to imagine yourself in your safe place and invite in and say, I invite in whatever past version of myself would like to talk to me. And then allow it. Allow them to come sit next to you. They may not say anything. It may take a while. And I say the same thing every single time. How are you? And often they say, I'm fine. Move along. Almost always they surprise me. They really do with what they have to say. It's relevant to what I'm currently going through. It's in the language of the time and space that they existed. And it is something that is needling at me in this sphere from their experience in the past. And so, in terms of the safe place, populating, imagining, bringing forward a version of yourself, that's how that's going to work. The next thing that we talked about was the playlist. I don't think I need to go into that too much. You can literally go onto YouTube and create a playlist. If you are of a generation that is intimidating for you, have a younger person help you make it. It can literally be done like that. Choose 2 or 3 songs. Spirit told me to suggest Ram Dass, Ramdass. I'll have to look it up for the spelling. He does some beautiful music that I used to use when I did yoga, and it's a mantra, and it's lovely. So if you got no idea where to start with the music, start with that, and I'll pop his name up and the specific song I'm thinking of. I'll get it and I'll pop it up on the video. So safe place, playlist, prayer. You heard me do my prayer. If you're not familiar with the chakras, I printed out a chart. Pretty standard to Google these. So your root chakra, I see that kind of as a red down at my tailbone. Sacral chakra, I always see this kind of as a yellow orange. Frankly, I'm probably a chakra cheater because my solar plexus and my sacral chakra kind of run together, kind of an orangey yellow. My heart chakra is definitely a big, expansive green. Often pray for the ability to give and receive love because being able to receive love can sometimes be as challenging as giving love. Like, it's a vulnerability to receive love. And then my throat chakra, this is a big one for me with my clairvoyance, because I want to be able to get the right words to come through, to not trip over the words, to use my claircognizance, my knowing, and my clairvoyance to be able to use the right words. So my throat chakra being open, whether I'm actually speaking or not, is connected to that psychic sense for me. And then my third eye, this is all about visualization for me. Help, God source, help me to see what you want me to see and help me to understand. So give me the cognition, my human brain, the ability to understand what I'm seeing and what it actually means. And then my crown chakra is always just a white light that just zooms out to the heavens. And then I bring all the colors back in and I stir them, and I just kind of see a rainbow swirl. And I always just feel so joyful in that moment and thankful and grateful. And I know I'm ready to begin my jog. So don't forget the prayer. It doesn't have to be anything that I've done, but let it be something that expresses your gratitude, your intent to connect with the divine, your willingness to receive messages, and gratitude and joy are really, as we talked about in my other videos, those high vibrational energies will really open you up so that you can use your third eye to visualize your soul circle, and you can really get those messages. And so the last thing I want to talk about is the movement itself. You saw me this morning doing my really slow jog. I know that not everyone lives out in a rural area where you can jog along a country road and not have to worry, to the point that you feel safe in this time and place. And so be flexible with it. Maybe you want to get on a treadmill. Maybe you want to walk. Maybe you want to be in a park where you know you're safe. Whatever you decide to do for movement, the movement is important because it's going to distract your analytical mind, or at least this is how it happened for me. The movement distracted my analytical mind, and also the rhythm opened me up in another way that was important for me. And so the movement was a vehicle for me to have what everyone said they were doing in meditation that I could never make happen. I couldn't sit still like that without hearing every little thing. And so for me, the movement is important. I've come up with a few alternatives. Talking with my team, one of them is somatic movement. And this is basically a healing dance. And I love a man, and I may get his name wrong, Sadi Simone. I'll put it up on the screen. I've seen him on Instagram. I find him tremendously inspirational and joyful. And I know that he has some routines that are just all about joyful dance and spirit dance. And so without having tried it myself, that might be something. Nicole LaPera, she's a wonderful therapist, traditional therapist that has written a book that I've read. I've given it away, How to Do the Work. She has recently started talking on Instagram about somatic movement. And so if you're listening to this video and everything I've said, you're like, I can't do it because I can't jog, and you think, oh, I'd like to try, really maybe go look at those things and see if your divine guidance is sending you in that direction. I mentioned Ram Dass, and then the last thing is EMDR. EMDR is eye movement desensitization. It's used with, I believe the origins, they started using it with soldiers with PTSD. And in the same way, I believe that my jogging distracts my analytical mind. There's a light that goes like this. It's called a light bar. that distracts your analytical mind enough that you can access, I guess in those cases, trauma that you need to deal with. But the only problem with EMDR is it's done usually, in terms of using it in this practice, it's done usually with a therapist who eases you into it and eases you out of it. And I'm not at all certain whether it would be advisable to try it on your own. I just know they mentioned it when I did my first video. And so maybe with a timer, I don't know. These are just little caveats if you can't do regular movement, because I don't want that to stop you. I want you to have a day where you go out and you talk to an earlier version of yourself and you're able to give them comfort and reassurance and reset your holistic self, your psychic self, your spiritual self. And then wham, that exact issue is straight up in your face and you're like, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you so much for the divine love and support that you showed me this morning. It's another way of feeling the confirming relationship with your divine, with God's source, with your soul, your team. It really is a practice that deepens, your faith deepens as you do it, as you have these experiences. So this is the end of these 2 videos that I've done on developing your own soul team, or accessing your own soul team through a meditative type practice. I hope you'll give it a try. It's kind of the tops of the icebergs. I know it's a little, it's not very deep, but I do think that the kernels are there if it's something that you want to pursue. Certainly, had I been able to get this information when I was looking for ways to connect with God, I would have been reassured. If for no other reason than my main message is there's no right way to do this. There's all these rigid structures and you have this certificate, that certificate to connect with your divine wisdom and guidance. I just don't believe it, and I don't want you to believe it either. And so that's it. If you found this helpful, I hope that you'll comment, tell me what you think. Really, that would be the most helpful thing for me right now, to get some feedback about these videos. If you want to follow along, I'm going to continue doing other videos. I had a really cool thing happen with a woodpecker that I want to talk to you about. And like, subscribe, all of the things will help me to keep making content. And I really appreciate your being here today. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.